Yeah, g'day guys, welcome to Shenke Garage. So in this episode, it's going to be more of a build update on what I've been doing with the HX1 tonner. So we've got the cab put back on. I'm going to spray some high build primer on the rest of the panels. I've got the name of the car, so we'll reveal that later on, and then also announce the winners for the 5,000 subscriber giveaway. So stick around to the end to find out if you won. So we'll jump straight into it and hope you enjoy. Okay, I've been doing a bit of work off camera and I've got this cabin bolted up to the chassis for the very last time. So it's a good feeling getting that bolted up, and it frees up my shed. I don't have to worry about that cabin and wheeling it around out of the way anymore. But yeah, it's looking really nice. I gave the chassis a nice clean just with some of this CT18 superwash. I just put it in a spray bottle, sprayed it all on, gave it a bit of a wipe over and hosed it off. So all the chassis is looking nice and clean and shiny again. I've tightened these cab mount bolts up and I've put a bit of Never-Seez on them just to make it easier in the future when you undo them. And one thing to note is in here on either side, it's a little bit hard to see in there, but there's a little hole, you can just see it in there. But that hole there is to align the cabin up with the chassis. So there's a couple of holes that go all the way through on the chassis and then align up into this hole here. And what I've done is I put the cabin on and I used these couple of 1/2 inch extensions, and they're the perfect diameter to get in them hole. So you get it roughly aligned up and then you stick this through underneath into this bit here, and you can kind of wiggle it around to get it aligned. So you want it to be pretty free in the holes. And yeah, you put one of these in both sides, and I left them in there, put some blocks underneath to keep them in there, and then I tension the cab mounts down with these in there, and then just pull them out once they're tensioned. And then that way you know that the cab is always going to be aligned up correctly with the chassis. I don't think I mentioned it in the other videos, but yeah, I line the cabin up with the chassis, and then that way when you go to gap it and then pull it all apart, it's all gonna go exactly in the same spot again. If you don't align it, the cab's gonna be in a different spot each time, and it's just gonna throw all your gaps out. Just to give a bit of an update on some other bits and pieces, the mudguards have arrived from Mr. Mudguard, and there's a problem with these, is they're too bloody small again. If you remember a few episodes ago now, it's a fair while ago, I ordered some of these mudguards. I ordered the DR1226s and they were too small, so I called up Mr. Mudguard. They were happy to take them back and send out the next size up, which are DR1228s. So I sent the 6s back and they had no 28s in the country, and I was waiting on the shipment from overseas. They finally arrived after a few months, and they've pretty much just sent the exact same ones that I sent back. So these are the 26s again. So pretty annoying. I've called them up, they've owned it, they've realized they've fucked up. So they're gonna send out the DR22 or DR1228s tomorrow. I should have them hopefully within a week, and I'll just send these back again. Pretty annoying, but I'm not in a huge rush for these at the moment. I've got plenty to do anyway. But yeah, pretty annoying. So something I've been thinking about, and it's probably going to come up pretty quickly, is the interior. Now this car is going to go together pretty quick in the next couple of months, and then I'm probably going to be ready for interior. So I've been searching around and trying to book into some places, and I found one motor trimmer here in Brisbane, down at Slacks Creek, and it's Carmen's Motor Trimmers. And yeah, they do some really nice work. I was looking at their website and some of the cars that they've done, and yeah, nice quality work. So I've booked it in there for March. So I've got 3 to 4 months to get this car pretty much finished off and ready for the interior. And I know I've done pretty much everything else on this car, but I think interior is just something that is best left to the professionals. They've got all the equipment and the heavy duty sewing machines, and it's just not really worth trying to do interior yourself. So I've picked out a few colours And what I'm going to go with is this darker brown. It was kind of between them two, but I think that's a little bit too orange and it kind of is a bit too close to the color of the car. So I think this darker brown, it's going to look pretty awesome, I think. And then I'm going to get the black stitching just to break up the brown a little bit. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that interior done. I'm going to lose the car for a month. So what I'm thinking is during that month, I'll hopefully have all the tray built by then. I can pull the tray back off, can send the car to the trimmers, and then I can get all the tray all smoothed off, bogged and painted during that time. Another job that'll be coming up pretty soon will be all the wiring. And I've got the old harness here and it's the original harness. It's been cut and shut plenty of times. So I'm not going to run that. I just think it's going to be easier because I'm running the Holley Pro Dash and all the aftermarket buttons. I think it's going to be easier just to start from scratch and do all the wiring to suit the dash and the buttons, etc. And what I've done is I've ordered this easy wiring kit, and this is kind of all pre-wired up to the fuse panel, and each sort of coil goes to a different area. I think that one goes to your front for your lights and stuff. One goes to your rear. One goes to, I think that one's for your steering column, and then that one goes to your gauge cluster or something like that. But this kit will also need modifying to suit the Pro Dash, because I think, the Pro Dash comes with wiring harness as well that go out to your indicators and stuff as well. So yeah, there's going to be quite a little bit of figuring out what goes where and modifying this to suit. And I'm going to try and tackle the wiring myself, but I was thinking it might be quite handy to try and get someone around to give me a little bit of a hand who's an auto sparky to kind of point me in the right direction. So yeah, if anyone does know a auto sparky around Brisbane, or who is an auto sparky that watches the channel, then reach out to me, and I'd be happy to pay cash for a day or two to kind of help me out with the wiring and get me in the right direction. Going back to the bodywork, in the last episode we edged up all the door jambs, done the firewall, and I really need to get these other panels in high build. So I got to sand these back a little bit more. I'm still finessing these doors. So I need to get them in high build, and then all these other panels over here in high build as well. And once they're in high build, I can then spray the inside of the panels with the yellow Vortex. And then I can bolt all the panels up to the car, get everything gapped, and then start blocking everything, and then ready for the final spray on the outside. So the plan is to get everything bolted up, gapped, and then spray the whole lot. So that way it's all nice and uniform and it's a nice even coating on the outside. And then that way it's all together. I'm not going to scratch anything putting it all together because it's already all together and bolted. So that's the plan. I've just been spending the last couple of days getting all these panels ready for the high build. I've just been sanding the insides, and I've also just been applying more filler on the doors, especially sort of around this top area. In this area here, I wasn't quite happy with how they were. There was still a few lows and stuff when you put the straight edge on them. So I'm pretty happy with them now. They're all pretty straight, and hopefully should be an easy job to block them back once I put the high build. So I'm gonna start hanging these up, and I'll spray the 2 coats of epoxy, and then I'll probably spray 3 or 4 coats of the high build. Okay, I've got all them panels sprayed in the high build, and apologies, I never filmed any of it. I was in such a rush to get it sprayed on. It was getting to the end of the day. I was running out of light in the day, so I just needed to get it all sprayed on. But I'm happy how they've turned out. It's good to see them all in the one color. These outer guards have turned out really good as well. they seem to be really straight. So I'm hoping they're going to be quite easy to block back. But I ended up giving them 2 coats of the epoxy, 4 coats of the high build. Mainly on the outside I gave it 4 coats, like anywhere that you're going to see on the outside. On the inside of the doors I just gave it 3 coats of high build. But I just wanted plenty of material on there to block back and get it, yeah, perfectly flat. So it's better to have more material on there than not enough. You probably notice these areas here don't look original, but this is where I've kind of welded in some steel for where the door poppers butt up against. So yeah, the door popper will sit there, and then when you press down on the button, it'll pop the door out. So yeah, that turned out pretty good. And then yeah, the nose cone has turned out really good as well. So the gun that I use to spray the high build is the DeVilbiss GPI, and it's got the 1.8mm fluid tip, and it's been an awesome gun so far. I have not had any issues with it. I've just used this as the primer gun, and I sprayed it at 30 psi, and the high build that I used is a 4:1, so 4 parts of the high build, 1 part of the hardener, and then I thinned it down to 15% thinners on the first 2 coats, so a little bit thicker. And then on the last 2 coats, I thinned it down to 20% thinners, so a little bit thinner on the last 2 coats. And then, yeah, 15 minutes flash off time in between each coat. So I've got plenty of work to do. I want to try and get this car sprayed by the end of the year. So I've got a fair bit of blocking back to do. I want to try and get all the inside of the high build blocked back and edge up, and then spray the yellow vortex. Then I can bolt all the panels back up and then start blocking the outside, ready for the final spray before the end of the year. So I'm going to be quite busy doing that. And apologies, this video wasn't very exciting. I just had to smash out a fair bit of work to get them in the high build. I really needed to get them in high build. And it wasn't really exciting kind of footage to film, is just basically sanding. And I've done a lot of that sort of footage on my previous videos. So moving on to naming the car, I've never really been one to name cars, and I wasn't really going to bother naming the car. But it's been quite a journey, this car. It's been a long time in the build, and I think it is worthy to have a name. And the name that I have chosen is Outrun. And the reason why I've chosen this name is Outrun is a game that came out in 1986, and that was the year that I was born. And it's this driving game, so it's got a very retro 80s kind of feel to it, and you would drive from point A to point B and try and beat the clock. So I grew up playing this game and a lot of Sega kind of arcadey style games. And within that, there's kind of like this subculture. Outrun is sort of like a subculture, and it's got that very synth-wavy, retro kind of vibe to it. And a perfect kind of movie to explain Outrun would be the movie Drive. So if you've seen Drive, it's got that 80s kind of feel. The soundtrack is very synth-wavy. And yeah, I'm a big fan of that type of subculture. I love that whole kind of 80s synth-wavy music. I listen to a lot of that music. And, you know, I love the whole arcade games and retro VHS, sci-fi, cyberpunk kind of a vibe. So yeah, that's the reason why I've chosen Outrun. So you probably noticed that it's got the SA Rego. And the reason behind that is the car's from South Australia. Last time it was registered is SA. And the beauty with SA is you can have the car off the road for 10 years and then you can just re-register it and just pay a re-registration fee. Doesn't have to go over the pits or anything like that. So technically this car is now registered, and you're probably thinking it's a little bit irresponsible. And yeah, the plan is to have this car ready for Rocky Nats. So I'm gonna have it registered. I'll be able to drive it around, finish it off, go to Rocky Nats. I can go to some car meets for Joe's Diner. I'm not going to drive it a whole lot, And then eventually I'm going to figure out how I'm going to swap it over to Queensland. I'll have to get it mod plated, get some engineering done. So there's going to be quite a task to try and get this transferred over to Queensland. But for the time being, it is technically registered until I can figure out how I'm going to transfer it to Queensland. So moving on to the 5,000 subscriber giveaway, there was lots of comments that came through. I really did enjoy reading all the comments. They were all very positive. I don't think there was one negative comment, so I really appreciate the feedback. And apologies if I didn't respond to your comment. I did try to respond to all the comments, but there was quite a few, and I just, didn't have time to sort of comment on all of them. So to pick the winners, I put it into a website called Pick a Winner, and it just generates a random comment from that YouTube video. Now the first winner is Richard Pillar, and Richard's comment is, favorite part is getting inspired to go out and tackle my HQ restoration. I've been a bit hesitant in doing the rust repairs, but after watching the whole playlist in 3 days, I think I can handle it. Cheers Sam for the great videos. So yeah, really appreciate the comment, Richard. And it does definitely mean a lot being able to make this content and put it out for people to watch and get inspiration, get value from watching these videos to be able to tackle their own repairs. So yeah, good luck with your own build, Richard. And the next winner is Craig Meston. So Craig's comment is, wow, that color pops. Excellent job on laying it down yourself, mate. Well done. I love the episode watching you sort out the front suspension. I love the look of the bumpers being cut and shut and how they now sit in. Looks awesome. The entire build has been great to follow. Love your work. Appreciate that comment, Craig. I really do like that mod on the bumper as well. I think spending that little extra time cutting and shutting the bumper makes a difference. It's very subtle kind of changes, but I think them sort of subtle things make the difference with this build. So if you guys could reach out to me either on Facebook, I've got a group called Shenke Garage Facebook group, and I've also got an Instagram as well. So if you guys want to reach out to me on either Facebook or Instagram. So if you didn't win, there's also still a promotion on, so it's 10% off the merch until the end of the year. So I'll leave a link in the show notes, and it's got the coupon code already applied in that link. So all you got to do is click on the link, it will take you to the merch store, and it'll already apply the 10% discount code. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and also hit the bell notification to give you alerts on when a new video comes out. And I'll put a card up in this corner of the playlist for the HX build, so I highly recommend watching that build from the first episode all the way to the latest. And we'll see you next time on Shenke Garage. Cheers.